Do you know what you did in your last life? You made the whole world bow. That's why you left me, because I wouldn't bow to you.
Because you're jealous, petty, and just cruel. You're a monster, Lanfear.
Stupid! Arrogant!
Lanfear's greatest weapon is not her power with the One Power. It is her mind. It is her ability to manipulate others to weave intricate webs of deception that ensnare kings, Forsaken, and even the Dragon Reborn himself. She is a master of subtlety, of reading people, of knowing exactly what to say and do to get what she wants. She does not rely on brute force to achieve her goals. She relies on manipulation, on fear, on hope, on desire. She knows that the easiest way to control someone is to give them what they crave most. For Rand, it is connection, understanding, a break from the burden of being the Dragon Reborn. For the other Forsaken, it is power recognition, the chance to rule. For the nations of the Westlands, it is peace security, the end of the Trolloc Wars. Lanfear uses all of these cravings to her advantage. She appears to each person as exactly what they need her to be. She is a lover to Rand, ally to the Forsaken, a savior to the nations. But beneath each mask is the same cold, calculating mind working tirelessly to further her own agenda. One of the most brilliant examples of Lanfear's manipulation is her handling of the Aiel. The Aiel are a proud warrior people who have lived in the Waste for centuries. They are fiercely independent and distrustful of outsiders. But Lanfear saw in them a powerful army, a force that could be used to further her goals. She traveled to the Waste, disguised as Selene, a beautiful and mysterious woman who claimed to be a channeler. She befriended Rand, who was traveling with the Aiel at the time, and used him to gain access to their leaders. She told the Aiel that she could help them find the Karakarn, the chief of chiefs who had been prophesied to unite the Aiel and lead them out of the Waste. She told them that Rand was the Karakarn and that she could help him fulfill his destiny. The Aiel believed her. They saw her as a prophet, a messenger from the spirits. They trusted her with their most sacred beliefs, their most closely guarded secrets. But Lanfear had no interest in helping the Aiel. She had no interest in uniting them or leading them to glory. She saw them as a tool, a means to an end. She wanted to use their army to defeat her enemies, to conquer the Westlands, to further her own quest for power. And when Rand refused to play along when he chose to lead the Aiel according to their own traditions instead of her plans, Lanfear abandoned them. She left the Waste without a second thought, leaving the Aiel to face the consequences of her manipulation. Lanfear's manipulation of the Forsaken is even more intricate. She knows that the Forsaken are a fractious group driven by greed, jealousy, and ambition. They hate each other as much as they hate the light. Lanfear uses this to her advantage. She plays them against each other, forming alliances with one Forsaken to defeat another, then turning on her former ally when it suits her. She feeds them false information, makes them believe that other Forsaken are plotting against them, and ensures that no single Forsaken becomes powerful enough to challenge her. Belal, Robin, Samael, all of them fell victim to her manipulations. They thought they were using her, but in reality she was using them. She turned their own ambition against them, made them believe that they could achieve power by serving her only to betray them when they were no longer useful. But Lanfear's manipulation is not just limited to individuals. She also manipulates entire factions, entire nations. She has infiltrated the White Tower, using her power to disguise herself as a Aes Sedai and spread dissent and confusion. She has manipulated the nations of the Westlands, pitting them against each other to weaken their defenses and make them easier to conquer. She has even manipulated the pattern itself, using her knowledge of the Age of Legends to predict events, to alter outcomes, to ensure that everything aligns with her plan. Central to Lanfear's manipulation is her knowledge as Mirren Erinail. During the Age of Legends, Mirren was one of the foremost experts on the One Power, on the pattern, on the very nature of reality. She knows things that no one else knows. She knows how to tap into hidden sources of power, how to manipulate the pattern to her will, how to break the rules that govern the world. This knowledge is her most valuable asset. It allows her to do things that other Chaniers can only dream of. It allows her to manipulate the One Power in ways that are impossible for others. It allows her to see the future, to predict the actions of her enemies, to stay one step ahead of everyone else. Her mastery of both Sedin and Saidar is another key tool in her manipulation. Most channelers can only channel one half of the One Power. Men channel Sedin, women channel Saidar. But Lanfear is different. She can channel both. This gives her a unique advantage. She can understand the strengths and weaknesses of both male and female channelers. She can use Saidin to counter Saidar and vice versa. She can create weaves that no other channeler can match, that are more powerful, more versatile, more deadly. This mastery of the One Power allows her to manipulate others on a deeper level. She can use Saidin to influence the minds of men to make them do her bidding. She can use Saidar to manipulate the emotions of women to make them trust her, to follow her. She can use both to create illusions, to make people see what she wants them to see, to believe what she wants them to believe. Lanfear's manipulation is not just about controlling others. It is about controlling reality itself. She wants to rewrite the rules of the world to make it conform to her will. She wants to be the one who decides what is possible, what is allowed, what is forbidden. She wants to be a god, and with her mastery of manipulation, her knowledge of the Age of Legends, and her control of the One Power, she just might succeed. If Lanfear succeeds in her plan, if she defeats the Dark One, if she convinces or coerces Rand to join her, what kind of world would she create? It is a terrifying question, because Lanfear's vision for reality is not a world of peace or prosperity. It is a world of control, of order, of absolute dominion, a world where she is the sole ruler, the only god, the one who decides the fate of every living being. To understand Lanfear's vision, we must look back to the Age of Legends. She remembers that world as a utopia, a place where channelers were revered, where technology and magic worked in harmony, where suffering was rare. But Lanfear's memory is selective. She chooses to forget the flaws of the Age of Legends, the inequality, the corruption, the complacency that allowed the bore to be drilled in the first place. She chooses to remember only the power, the privilege, the control that she had. Her vision for a new Age of Legends is not a restoration of the old world. It is a perversion of it. It is a world where she is the absolute ruler, where her word is law, where anyone who dares to oppose her is destroyed. In this new world, the One Power would be reserved for a select few, for those who are loyal to Lanfear. The rest of humanity would be little more than slaves forced to serve their channeler overlords. Technology would be used to control the masses, to monitor their every move, to ensure that no one ever dares to rebel. The pattern itself would be rewritten to suit Lanfear's will. She would eliminate free will, eliminate choice, eliminate any chance of the world ever changing again. She would create a static, unchanging reality where she rules for all eternity. Lanfear's vision transcends simple physical power. It is about reshaping the fundamental laws of the universe. She wants to control not just the world, but the very fabric of reality. She wants to decide what is possible, what is impossible, what is right, what is wrong. She wants to be the one who weaves the pattern, who decides the fate of every soul who lives within it. This is not the vision of a power-hungry warlord. This is the vision of a cosmic tyrant. A being who believes that only she is capable of ruling the world, that only she knows what is best for humanity. A being who is willing to destroy everything and everyone to achieve her goal. The implications of Lanfear's ultimate dominion for the balance of the pattern are catastrophic. The pattern is a living thing. It is constantly changing, evolving, adapting to the choices and actions of the people who live within it. It is a balance between order and chaos, between light and dark, between free will and destiny. Lanfear's vision would destroy that balance. She would impose absolute order on the pattern, eliminating chaos, eliminating choice, eliminating any chance of growth or evolution. The pattern would become a stagnant, lifeless thing, a tool for Lanfear's dominion. Without balance, the pattern would begin to unravel. The wheel of time would stop turning. The world would be trapped in an eternal present, a never-ending nightmare where Lanfear's will is the only law. But Lanfear does not care about the balance of the pattern. She does not care about the wheel of time. She cares only about herself. She believes that she can control the pattern, that she can keep it from unraveling, that she can rule for all eternity. But she is wrong. The pattern is stronger than any individual. It is stronger than Lanfear, than the Dark One, than even the Dragon Reborn. It will not be controlled. It will not be rewritten. It will fight back. And when it does, Lanfear's vision will come crashing down around her. But until that happens, until the pattern corrects itself, Lanfear will continue to pursue her goal. She will continue to manipulate, to scheme, to fight. She will continue to see herself as the rightful ruler of the world, as the only one capable of creating a perfect reality. And that is the true terror of Lanfear. She is not just a villain. She is a true believer. She believes that her vision is the only way, that her dominion is inevitable. And that makes her more dangerous than any other Forsaken, more dangerous than the Dark One himself. Because a villain who believes they are doing the right thing will stop at nothing to achieve their goal. Lanfear's story does not end with her supposed defeat. Even after she is cast into the White Tower's dungeon, even after she is thought to be dead, her influence continues to ripple through the world. Her schemes, her manipulations, her ambition have left an indelible mark on the Wheel of Time universe. A mark that will be felt for generations to come. One of the most lasting impacts of Lanfear's ambition is her influence on the remaining Forsaken. Lanfear was the most feared and most respected of the Forsaken. She was the one who plotted the most intricate schemes, who manipulated the others with ease, who always seemed to be one step ahead. Her defeat left a power vacuum among the Forsaken, a vacuum that other Forsaken like Demandred and Mesa Anna have tried to fill. But none of them have Lanfear's intelligence, her cunning, her mastery of manipulation. None of them have her vision. As a result, the Forsaken have become more fractious, more disorganized, more prone to infighting. They no longer have a unifying force, a leader who can guide them, who can keep them focused on their goal. They are now a collection of individuals, each pursuing their own agenda, each trying to claim power for themselves. This infighting has weakened the Shadow's forces, has made them easier to defeat, has given the Light a chance to regroup and fight back. But Lanfear's influence on the Forsaken is not just about creating chaos. It is also about inspiring ambition. Lanfear showed the other Forsaken what was possible. She showed them that they could challenge the Dark One's authority, that they could pursue their own goals, that they could become more than just servants of the Shadow. Her example has inspired other Forsaken to question their loyalty to the Dark One, to plot their own schemes, to dream of ruling the world themselves. This has created a new threat, a threat from within the Shadow itself. The Dark One's greatest strength was once the loyalty of the Forsaken, but now that loyalty is shattered, now the Forsaken are just as likely to fight each other as they are to fight the light, and that is in large part due to Lanfear's influence. Lanfear's impact is not just limited to the Forsaken, it is also felt in the nations of the Westlands. Her manipulation of the Aiel, her infiltration of the White Tower, her pitting of nations against each other has left the world divided, weak, and vulnerable. The Aiel are now split between those who follow Rand and those who still believe in Lanfear's lies. The White Tower is in chaos, torn apart by internal strife and the aftermath of Lanfear's deception. The nations of the Westlands are still recovering from the wars that Lanfear helped to start, still struggling to trust each other, still vulnerable to the Shadow's attacks. But perhaps Lanfear's greatest legacy is the way she changed Rand al'Thor. Rand was a simple shepherd from the Two Rivers when he first met Lanfear. He was naive, idealistic, unprepared for the burden of being the Dragon Reborn. But Lanfear changed him. She forced him to grow up, to become more cautious, more suspicious, more willing to make hard choices. She showed him the dark side of power, the danger of ambition, the cost of trust. Rand's encounters with Lanfear made him stronger, more resilient, more determined to save the world. They made him realize that the path of the Dragon Reborn is not just about fighting the Dark One. It is also about fighting the darkness within himself. It is about resisting the temptation of power, the allure of control, the desire to rule. Lanfear's legacy is a warning about the dangers of ambition, about the cost of power, about the importance of balance. She showed the world what can happen when someone lets their ambition consume them, when they believe that they are above the rules, when they try to control the pattern itself. She showed the world that even the brightest minds, the most talented channelers, the most powerful beings can fall prey to their own greed and arrogance. But Lanfear's legacy is also a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Despite her best efforts, despite her manipulation, despite her power, she was not able to break Rand. She was not able to turn him to the dark side. She was not able to achieve her ultimate goal. Rand chose the light. He chose to save the world. He chose to embrace balance over control. And in doing so, he proved that even the most powerful villain can be defeated, that even the darkest ambition can be overcome. In the end, Lanfear's story is a tragedy. She was a woman of unparalleled talent and intelligence. She could have used her gifts to make the world a better place. She could have been a hero, but instead she let her ambition consume her. She let her desire for power corrupt her. She became a villain, a monster, a threat to the very fabric of reality. But even in her tragedy there is a lesson. A lesson that power without compassion, ambition without morality, control without balance, is nothing but destruction. A lesson that the true measure of a person is not what they can achieve, but what they choose to do with their gifts. Lanfear's legacy will endure long after her death. It will be a reminder of what can happen when we let our darkest desires control us. And it will be a reminder of the power of choice, of the strength of the light, of the resilience of the human spirit. Because in the end, the wheel of time turns. And no matter how powerful the villain, no matter how grand their ambition, the light will always find a way to prevail.